Hello and welcome to another episode of The Mark Medley Show. If you don't know who you're listening to, this is your host, Mark Medley. Thank you so much. I honestly do, sincerely do appreciate you. I love what I do. And that is to communicate with you either through this podcast or through my radio show or through my blog or on my social media networks. I just love being able to get a message across and to be able to share with others. Today's podcast episode is dedicated to mothers because it is Mother's Day, believe it or not. And this is one of the latest podcasts I have ever recorded because normally I record earlier in the day, and I made a promise on one of my social media sites that before the day was out, I was going to get a special Mother's Day episode on my podcast out. So this is it, even though where I am, it's like 10:48 p.m. because some things went on throughout the day, and I'm just getting a chance to do it. But nevertheless, my word was I was going to get it out before this day was out, and I am doing just that. Today was Mother's Day. And I tell you what, before we even go any further, this particular episode is dedicated to my mom, Jane Alden Bernard. That was her maiden name. And then when she married my dad, she became Jane Medley. And unfortunately, my dad passed away in 1985. And so at that time, ultimately a couple of years or 3 or 4 years later, she married again, and then he passed away, and then she ultimately married again. So she's had some subsequent names as well. But as far as I'm concerned, she is still Jane Medley. So this episode is dedicated to her, my mom, Jane Alden Bernard Medley. And like I said, she's had 2 other names. She's Burnett as well as State. But my last name is Medley, so therefore I'm going to dedicate it to her to sync up our names in terms of her name, last name being Medley, my last name being Medley. And there's no disrespect to her married name of Burnett, no disrespect to her married name of State. It's just for all intents and purposes for this particular recording, it is dedicated to my mom, Jane Medley. So it is a Mother's Day podcast, and this is what I need folks to understand. And my pastor says it best, because that's not the way I worded it, but the way he says it, I really like it, and that is the fact that Mother's Day really is about commercialization. It really is about the selling of cards and flowers and gifts and all of that. That's really what it's come to, because the truth of the matter is Mother's Day ought to be every day. While I certainly love the fact that we commemorate, that we acknowledge, that we pause to celebrate the various days, whether it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, or what have you, that we pause to acknowledge them, I think is great. But the truth of the matter is, it ought to be every day. Mother's Day ought to be every day. Father's Day ought to be every day. Black History Month ought to be every month. But it's still good that we pause to acknowledge and celebrate them, because the truth be told, if we did not do that, for many, it would not be done. For many folks, they would blow right by the fact that you have African Americans in the country. For many folks, they would blow right by the facts that we have mothers, that we have fathers, that we have Hispanics, that we have people of colors. For many of folks, we would blow right by that if we were not forced to acknowledge the presence. So I get it. We pause to acknowledge and celebrate mothers. The Mother's Day card that I gave my mother this year said, "I am the man that I am because of you." That does not take anything away from my father, because on Father's Day, I'm going to do a special Father's Day podcast as well. It does not take away anything from him. But because of my mom, I am the man who I am. And this is one of the things, because you all know, if you've been listening to my podcast any amount of time, or when it does release or when it does come out, you know I'm the principal of a school. And the particular school that I'm leading right now is an all boys leadership school. And I share with the boys all the time, when everyone else is gone, mom is going to be there. When your friends leave, mom is going to be there. When you lose your job, mom is going to be there. When your significant other or your wife leaves, mom is going to be there. This I know. So the fact that we take the pause to celebrate moms, I think, is a wonderful thing. Now, this is the other thing we need to understand in terms of, because so many, kind of think, just having a baby is cute, or having baby is like a doll baby, is something I get to dress up, something I get to show off, something I get to take around, and it's good. But no, to be honest with you, a child is not a doll baby. A child is not something that you just show off. It is a responsibility. And so the fact that a mother has a child, that is a great responsibility. I was there when both of my children were born. When both of my natural born children were birthed, I was there. I saw both of them enter the world. And that is some process. It really is. To sit there and to witness that and to see that, to see a part of a human body open up to a size that normally it does not open up to, and another human being come out through that passage, that is something to watch. So I can only imagine that is something to endure. I saw my children's mother at that time as she endured the contractions. We were there whenever that machine would show when another contraction was going to hit. And she was a trooper because she gave birth without any drugs. Even when the drugs was offered, she said no. She was an absolute trooper as those children in both cases came out. She would not take the epidural. She would not take the medication. She would not take that needle. She pumped, for lack of a better term, pumped both of those girls out naturally with no medication at all. And I was there watching each time. It is something to see as life comes about. Now me, because this is the thing, you're birthed one of two ways. Either you come through naturally or you are cut out. And when I say cut out, I mean it's called cesarean. I was born cesarean, so I was cut out of my mother. Whenever I was, I actually was supposed to be born in September, and I was born in August because the umbilical cord was wrapping around my neck. And the doctor said, if we don't get this child out now, he's going to be strangled. The umbilical cord is going to choke him to death. So therefore, we have to get him out now. Otherwise, the mother and the child may die. And so that's how I was birthed on August 17th instead of in the month of September, which I was naturally supposed to be born. I was what they would call a preemie. I was born premature and I was cesarean because the umbilical cord had wrapped around my neck. I'm saying all that and I'm sharing all that to say motherhood is a serious responsibility, and so is fatherhood. It is not something to be taken lightly. And the fact that you are here means you had a mother and you had a father. So as the Bible can say, we need to honor our mother and father so that our days may be long upon the land. And I'm going to tell you now, based on even some personal experiences that I've had, that there are some children biblically may not get to be here long upon the land because they're not honoring their mother and father. And I'm saying all that to say, things happen. Yes, we understand it. Things happen. They do. But as kids, we need to understand folks are doing the best they can do at the time. Whatever may have occurred between your mom and you, or your dad and you for that matter, and I'll talk to that on Father's Day, but for right now, because it's Mother's Day, between your mom and you, your mom was doing the best that she could at the time. A few weeks ago, I was watching this show called Love is Blind, and the contestants on there, or the actors, or the characters, or participants, or whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called. But there were several of them that had some serious issues as whenever they were growing up. There was this one particular character who shared that his mom was a stripper, and he came to the realization, you know what, she was doing the best she could do at the time. She did whatever she needed to do to be able to put food on the table for me. So if that meant being a stripper, then so be it. We need to understand, because it's real easy to be just judgmental. It's real easy to hate. It's real easy to become estranged. But we need to understand, folks are doing the best that they can do based on the time where they are at that time. So whomever you had, whether it was a mother or a mother figure, whether she did what you thought she ought to have been done, or whether she didn't, she's still your mother. She still gave birth to you. So therefore, the fact that it's Mother's Day and we have the opportunity to celebrate moms, celebrate your mom or your mother figure, whether she was what you thought she ought to have been or not. She was still your mother. She still gave birth to you. You still passed through either that canal or either you were cut out. She carried you for 9 months or less. And in some instances, maybe a few days more. In that 9 months, her body changed. In that 9 months, things changed for her. As she was carrying you, she wasn't able to eat the way she normally might eat. She wasn't able to sit the way she normally might sit. She wasn't able to lay in the bed the way she normally might lay in the bed, because she was carrying you. And for you now to come out and to disrespect or to hate on or to judge, it's just not right. So as we pause and commemorate, because again, I agree with my pastor, Reverend Dr. Kenneth Darrell Ray Clayton. I agree with him that it really is about commercialization, because this is my first time in a few years that I actually bought a card to send to my mom. Most of the time, I will hit her up on a text with a GIF, or either, emoji or whatever. I will send her a happy Mother's Day. But this year I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out and get, and cards are very expensive. They really are. Because I went to Walmart and I bought 4 Mother's Day cards, and those 4 cards came to about $25 just for the cards, not the additional items I had in the basket. The cards alone came to almost $25. They are expensive. But I decided this year I was going to send my mom a card. And that card said, Mom, I am the man I am today because of you. I am currently back in school pursuing a doctorate degree. My mom graduated high school. My grandmother got to 5th grade. And yet they were able to do and make things that I cannot even do with all the education I have. They were able to make things work. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going back. That's because to be honest with you, I don't need doctor in front of my name. I could care less about being called doctor. But just the fact that my grandmother stopped at 5th grade, the fact that my mom got to a high school education and then some further certifications for her jobs or whatever, the fact that my grandmother would have been able to say her grandson, the fact that my mom can say my son made it to the doctorate level is one of the reasons that I'm doing it, because I could, in all honesty, care less about being called doctor. I really, it just does not do it for me. It just does not turn me on. Just the fact that folks will be able to call me doctor, I could care less. But it does turn me on, the fact that I would be able to say I was able to do it because of my mom and my grandmom and my dad and everybody else who put everything they had into me. And as I say, I am the principal of an all-boys school, and I tell these boys all the time, when everybody else leaves you, and I've seen it, as that child has gotten into some trouble, I've seen the mother come in. As that child, if she thought he was being bullied, I've seen her come in. I've seen, and see, again, I grew up in terms of having the traditional mom, dad, but the majority of our folks, particularly the kids that I serve, are single parent homes, and I'm not taking anything away from that. The fact that you're a single mom, not taking anything away from that. If anything, my hat goes off to you even more. Because I've had things that were created for dad and children. And I've had moms come to me and say, Mr. Medley, my child, father's not in his life. Can I come? And I've had to tell that mother, no, for this particular program, it has to be a male figure. So my hat goes off even higher to the single mom. So I get it. But when everybody else is gone, and I've experienced it for myself through 2 marriages that went in a way that I didn't think they were going to go. I don't want to necessarily say they failed, but when wife decided to leave, or I decided to leave wife, mom was there. When other failures came about, mom was there. When other things was happening in my life, mom was there. When I needed extra money, mom was there. So so the lesson that I try to help my young men understand is that when everybody else is gone, mom is going to be there. If you get yourself into some trouble, mom going to be sitting with you in that courtroom. And when you graduate or whatever it is that you decide to do, or you become a millionaire, mom is going to be there. A friend of mine was talking to my mom today, and I told her, I said, you know what? I know for the fact that you were talking to my mom, that and you were talking about me, you were talking about her favorite subject. You were talking about her favorite topic. Mom is going to be there. There is no love like a mother's love. I know for a fact, because again, I've been married a couple of times now and back out there again. My kids, my biological children, they gravitate toward their mother way much more than me. Now, they gravitate toward me, but they gravitate toward their mother way much closer than they do to me. And, I get it. That's mom. I get it. I have a sister who declares out that my mother loves me more than her. And it's not true, but she declares out that she does. But I can honestly and truly say that no matter what has been going on in my life, my mother has been there. God bless her. That's why I'm dedicating this episode to her, because she's 84 now. God willing, October 26th, she'll be 85. But she has been there for me, and that's why I'm dedicating this episode to her. The Mother's Day episode. Take time to appreciate your mom. Now, I know it's late. This podcast is going to go out late today. So my hope is that throughout this day, you took the time to appreciate your mom. And if your mom is transitioned and passed on, hey, celebrate the memories of who your mom was and what she did for you while she was here. I just told you my mom is 84. God willing, she'll be 85 in October. But should she not make it, and it's going to hurt, I know I'm going to cry, I'm going to miss, but at the same time, I am so grateful and thankful for what my mom did for me while she was here. Because I would not be where I am today. I would not be sitting in a doctoral program. I would not be the principal of a school. I would not be the dad that I am to raising 2 biological children and 2 stepchildren. I would not have been able to do that had it not been for who my mom was and what she instilled in me and my sister when we were children. And on Father's Day, I'm going to say the same thing about him. I had a father who was in the house. So I'm going to be able to say the same thing about him on Father's Day. I would not be the man that I am today if it was not for my dad. At the end of the day, I would not be the man who I am today if it was not for my mom and my dad. But today is Mother's Day. So that's why I am honoring her today on Mother's Day. And I encourage you that if you didn't do so, because every day ought to be Mother's Day. I get it. It's 11:07 p.m. where I am. So if you didn't get a chance to do it today, every day ought to be Mother's Day. You can do it tomorrow. You can do it on Tuesday. You can do it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and next Sunday. We don't need just one day, but it's nice that we do set aside one. All right. You know what? That's my Mother's Day podcast for today. But please, I do, hope that you celebrate your mom. I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to remind, I'm going to say it again. in your mind, if your mom was not what you thought she ought to have been, look at it this way. She was doing the best that she could do with what she had at that time. I'm going to say it again. She was doing the best that she could do with what she had at that time. She's still your mom. The Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father, and thy days shall be long upon the land. Now, I don't know about you. My plan is to be 100 and healthy, which means I got about another 39, 40 years to go. I'll keep honoring my mother. My father passed away in 1985. I'm going to keep honoring him because I want my days to be long upon the land. And I also know the contributions that they made to my life, that had it not been for them, there would be no me. Had it not been for what they instilled and taught me, there would be no me. I would not be able to sit here and communicate the way that I can and I do on this podcast and on my radio show and in my blogs and everything else I do, had it not been for them. So with that being said, yes, I give honor to my mom. This show is dedicated to her. On Father's Day, I'm going to do a Father's Day podcast. It'll be dedicated to him. And my hope and my prayers for you as you listen to this, if you've listened to this far, that you pay tribute to your mother as well, whether she's here, whether she's gone, whether she's what you thought she ought to be, whether she wasn't, whether she was, it was still your mother. Well, this concludes this episode of The Mark Medley Show. You can catch me live on Saturday mornings on my radio show, which is The Reading Circle with Mark Medley. Tune in to gobrave.org. That's GOBRAVE.org. You can catch me there from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. each Saturday morning. But I tell you what, if you really want to find out everything you need to know about me, go to my website, marcamedley.com. That's MarcAmedley.com. That is the portal. That is the hub. You can get to all my social media sites. You can find out about the radio show. You can find out about my musical work. Matter of fact, the background music that's playing in this right now are original compositions by me. You can find out about that. You can find out about my blog. You can find out about the school that I lead. So go to marcamedley.com. And it is all there. That is the portal. It's even an 800 number where you can get in touch with me. Leave a message, because I don't pick that number up, but leave a message and ultimately I will get back to you. But again, that's Mark A. Medley. That's MarcAmedley.com. That is the portal. You can catch me live on Saturday mornings on Brave New Radio, 88.7 FM radio. And we are streamed around the world on gobrave.org, GOBRAVE.org. If you go on there on Saturday mornings from 6 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, you can catch me live there. I have truly enjoyed recording this podcast. It is my Mother's Day podcast, and to all the moms out there, I hope you truly had a wonderful Mother's Day. What I told the folks at my school, and this is kind of like it was in my house growing up, on Mother's Day, my mom didn't have to do anything. Either me and my sister and my dad, we did everything for her, whether it was cooking or whatever. She didn't have to do anything. So what I told my teachers at the school was, listen, if you are a female and it is Mother's Day, whether you're a mother or not, don't do anything on Sunday. If you have a significant other, a spouse, or a child in the house, they are to do everything for you on Mother's Day. So I hope that was the case today, that everything was done and mom didn't have to do anything today. Again, get in contact with me. You can call an 800 number, leave a message. I'll get back with you. It's marcamedley.com, MarcAmedley.com. It's been an absolute pleasure recording this episode. Hope you are blessed by it. Hope you are challenged by it. Hope you are inspired by it. Hope you are entertained by it. Hope you are motivated by it, and so many other things. But do share it, pass it along. And again, I thank you.